What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jerry Mouse, and welcome to another uh, chapter in the Power of Awareness. We're covering chapter 14, The Effortless Way. This chapter is a super practical one. Compared to the previous 13, this is the most practical so far because this is where we start to get into what it is that we actually need to do in order to manifest something in the world. He's been saying it since the beginning, which is you change your concept of self. But how exactly do you change your concept of self? How do you make the things happen in this world? Well, that's what we're going to get into in this chapter. So, whatever it is that you desire in this now moment that you're listening to this, it could be health, it could be wealth, it could be love, it could be just material things, it could be spiritual things. Whatever it is that you are desiring, there's a problem that has arisen in your world, something you don't like. Right now, as you're listening to this, assume that you already are the person that you want to be. I mean, that's the lesson. So listen to this from that point of view. You already are the man or the woman that you want to be. You do hear the good news from a friend. You do live in that house. You do have that type of community. Whatever it is that you desire. Whatever it is that happened today, let it go. And do it the effortless way. The Power of Awareness, Chapter 14, The Effortless Way. The principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. Least action is the minimum of energy, multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the state desired, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. Your journey from one state of consciousness to another is a psychological one. So to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action, and the psychological equivalent is mere assumption. The day you fully realize the power of assumption, you discover that it works in complete conformity with this principle. It works by means of attention minus effort. Thus, with least action, through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. Because creation is finished, what you desire already exists. It is excluded from view because you can see only the contents of your own consciousness. It is the function of an assumption to call back the excluded view and restore full vision. It is not the world, but your assumption that changes. An assumption brings the invisible into sight. It is nothing more nor less than seeing with the eye of God, i.e., imagination. For the Lord seeth not as a man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. The heart is the primary organ of sense, hence the first cause of experience. When you look on the heart, you are looking at your assumptions. Assumptions determine your experience. Watch your assumption with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Assumptions have the power of objective realization. Every event in the visible world is the result of an assumption or idea in the unseen world. The present moment is all important, for it is only in the present moment that our assumptions can be controlled. The future must become the present in your mind if you would wisely operate the law of assumption. The future becomes the present when you imagine that you already are what you will be when the assumption is fulfilled. Be still, least action, and know that you are that which you desire to be. The end of longing should be being. Translate your dream into being. Perpetual construction of the future states without the consciousness of already being them, that is, picturing your desire without actually assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, is the fallacy and mirage of mankind. It is simply futile daydreaming. That was chapter 14 of The Power of Awareness, The Effortless Way. If y'all can understand this very simple thing, that you are the person you want to be. It doesn't matter what question that you ask. It doesn't matter what problem arises. What you need to do in any moment is assume that you are the person that you want to be. If you get bad news, it pops up and says that XYZ thing happened to you and you feel a certain way about it and you wish it wasn't there. That's the moment right there that you should decide, wait a minute, what do I want to experience? Who do I want to be seen as? How do I want to feel? I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel relief. I want to feel certain. I want to feel heard. I want to feel understood. I want to feel luxurious. There's all sorts of things that we desire to feel and experience in this world. We want things. We need things. Well, what would it feel like? Who would I have to be? What would I feel like if that thing was already happening in my life? That mere assumption right there, the moment you have the assumption of it, you are in that state. Most people don't occupy a state. They won't stay in a state. They won't return to a state. But the moment you assume that you're in a state, you're in that state. But you don't persist. You persist in another assumption. You have an assumption of another state fulfilled. And that's the state that you often return to. And an assumption, though false, if persisted in, hardens into fact. So as soon as you change what you are thinking feelingly, as soon as you change what you're thinking feelingly, everything changes. But it might take a while for the outside world to match it. But that doesn't matter, because you know that everything is springing from what you are holding on to in consciousness. Neville even said it right there. He said, here it is. He says, because creation is finished, which we talked about yesterday, I believe. Was that creation? Creation was 2 chapters ago. No, it was 3 chapters. 4 chapters ago? It was 4 chapters ago. Wow, time is flying. But he said, because creation is finished, what you desire already exists. It is excluded from view because you can see only the contents of your own consciousness. So the reason why you're seeing the results you're seeing is because of what you're holding on to in consciousness. As soon as you change your assumption about what you're holding on to in consciousness, nothing will change on the outside. Simply put, that's it. I mean, there's not really much to say. What Neville's teaching isn't complicated. He says it over and over again. There's no trick to this. It really just boils down to that imaginal control, that attitude awareness and imaginal control, as Linda Warden says often. So do you have a control over your imagination? Do you have control over what you are aware of? What are you aware of? What you're holding on to in consciousness. How can I change what I'm holding on to in consciousness? by the effortless way, by simply assuming you are the person that you want to be. Again, I'm just repeating myself. So after watching this video, before you click on another video, before you go to another thing, just let me ask you, as if I'm coaching you, let me just ask, what would it feel like? Simply put, what would it feel like if it were true that you were the person that you want to be? Just ask yourself that and feel that. And just assume that it's true. That's exactly what Neville said to do in this chapter. Be still and know that you are that which you desire to be. The end of longing, the end of wanting, the end of frustration, the end of all that is simply being. That's it. That's all. You guys are awesome. Peace and hair grease.